Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Connell Work.
I'm in rural, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we're giving you some more SD League action over here on Orsha North. We actually see, well, someone we don't see very often. Rang, who do we have and what are they bringing?
Left hand side in blue, we have Jardaboj playing the Finnish Panzer division with a V Maverick income. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes. And on the right hand side in the red, we have Adler 3000 playing the second French Blindé with a Vanguard income. And we do have to take a note down south here. Yeah, it's a lot of Soviet tanks.
Yeah, but bizarrely enough, none of them are actually being driven by Soviets. That's the funniest thing for it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Less funny is the fact that there's this entire Greyhound column, and they're definitely chasing after that hare, and they're carving through some early material. But we also have these Panzerschreck teams, and also I can never think what that is. It's basically a PTRD, more or less.
It's like a Finnish anti-tank rifle.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, the Spahis and the M8s need to get out of there quick.
Yeah, that's... You try to do the Greyhound rush, but then the T-34s come in. Definitely stop any sort of Greyhound tomfoolery, yeah. So I'm wondering what Jardaboj is going to plan to do with this Panzer division he's built up. Of course, these aren't the best tanks with the T-28s and T-26s, but T-34s and the KV-1 can actually do some pretty decent work.
That's exactly right. I mean, honestly, the T-28s are not even to be sneezed at either. I know they don't have supremely great penetration, but really all they have to do is just kind of walk point and take some ablative armor hits for the T-34s and 76s, even as they just start to be engaged by the Shermans. And really, the Shermans don't even exist right now in a huge enough number to be supremely terrifying.
Yeah, it's really, we just have one or two in the southern side right now, and mainly just the Greyhound, which are lead in point. But yeah, going to be engaging some Chasseurs, and those Chasseurs do have bazookas, which will make things a little bit deadly, but well, when there's that many tanks in the field, you can only really get one shot off.
Yeah, but he had one shot, one opportunity, and he nailed it. Unfortunately for him, there's just a bit of like an Ardennes kind of offensive here. But I like this counterplay though. If you look at the northern side, Adler says, "Okay, fine. You've got a ton of tanks in the south. You're not going to be able to push things back in the north." Regrettably, he doesn't see the Sotka 85 coming on up here either. So, not liking his chances right now.
Yeah, I really do like that player being aggressive elsewhere on the map, seeing how much Jardaboj is dedicated down south. We do have some M8 Greyhounds coming in as well to flank the far northern side, which is pretty barren. It's just a few infantry units here and there. I don't think they're going to make too much progress, because AK-1 Lati anti-tank rifle can do some pretty decent work against him. But it's an interesting play.
Well, the Dark Eldar Drakari, or at least the Finnish Eldar Drakari up there with their Panzerfausts, will cause it more than a little bit of a hassle, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they do have Panzerfausts, because yeah, Drakaris are still some of the best infantry units in game, because they got the Molotov and the Panzerfaust and semi-automatic rifles and really good submachine guns. That's what makes the Panzer division, a lot of the Finnish divisions really good, is just those Drakari troops.
And actually, I love this. Send one guy in super quick, see if we can go and kind of get in there. Is there a problem? Well, we can't really see a whole lot. Unluckily for him, had he actually sent in the recon M8, it might have been a very different story, but he doesn't even see the Drakari that are right there, I don't think.
Yeah, he probably definitely wants to wait to get some infantry reinforcements before pushing up anymore, and that seems exactly what he's doing up north here.
But overall, let's see what we got going on still. It's still 14-10, so Jardaboj over here is definitely behind.
Yeah, I mean, his push down south is starting to develop now, as we're seeing. Because the T-34 is making some headway. The Spurs get another tank kill, so definitely paying themselves off. And another bazooka kill from a bazooka team. So Adler, he's reeling and rating with these anti-tank teams, which is a very good call. This is a perfect opportunity to use him.
Well, that's a kind of both amusing and sad thing at the same time, is that the second Blindé is not the kind of group that you want to be spent, really trying to engage enemy tanks. They don't have supremely good anti-tank material. Yeah, they got the occasional 57s, but like, other than that, you have to get super close, and getting down here in a forest is not what you want to be going up against with them, though.
Yeah. Yeah, in this sort of matchup, it's not too bad for second Blinde, as their tanks are like pretty good compared to what the Panzer Division has. It's just really going to be a medium tank fight. In this situation right now, I think our 57mm cannon is going to be pretty nasty stuff, as those Soviet armored tanks, or Finnish armored tanks, depending on perspective, are not really well armored compared to the power of the 57mm cannon.
Well, yeah, but then even though they might be finished pretty soon, they're not finished just yet.
Oh,
so.
the Greyhounds coming in from the flank. Oh, I love this. I absolutely love this.
It is a moving ambush, I will say that.
Yeah.
And the 85 in the back is down. T-26s are engaging in multiple directions. One Greyhound is down. There's still a Sherman engaged. But there's all these other things coming in, like the Sturmies are coming in too. So, I mean, yes, they've lost a couple of the heavier tanks here. The T-26s are not the kind of guys you really want in the front lines. But a tankette is still a tank.
Oh, shoot. And yeah, right now, Adler just is really containing his tank blob. Yeah, Jardaboj is throwing around, and he hasn't been able to really throw around his rate of it all out well. And this is pretty good, because he can just attrition down the Panzer Division's tanks, because he has a lot right now, but I don't think it's really going to scale well later on.
Well, you actually kind of missed it, because to the north, we actually ended up having the M8s kind of engaging there, and another M8 push being supported by another Sherman or two against Jakari here in this town. So we're seeing that Jakari, even the fact that these guys are strong kind of, you know, city fighters with a lot of utility, not able to push back all of these light vehicles.
Yeah, when you have like 350 cows shooting at you or 450 cows, you're gonna have a bad time regardless of who you are.
And other than that, half-tracks moving in. Yeah, as you might suspect, immediately getting shot at by the Lati.
Yeah. In a pretty good position. Yeah, the lovely thing about second Blindays is how aggressive they can be, especially early on A phase. I mean, he has a Vanguard income, of course, but with having pretty much most of your infantry mechanized and half-tracks, and you got the Greyhounds and a good amount of highly vetted Shermans, you can really push your rate around, especially in more of the weaker flanks, and Adler's really playing it just how you should be. You know, pushing the weaker areas, taking some territory, using the half-tracks and armored vehicles to great effect to just fight the infantry with vehicles.
Certainly true. Certainly true. Forgive me, I was distracted by down in the south as we have this kind of shifting battle line, let's call it, as the T-26s are moving through this forest with no small effort trying to just find a new axis of attack.
Hey.
I wasn't even going for... You're absolutely right. But regardless, I mean, we are seeing a moderately successful push here in the south, but at what cost in the north?
Yeah, this is a very interesting post to try to push through the forest like this, because it is good territory to gain, don't get me wrong. It allows you to eventually push into the town, which Jardaboj is doing, but by only pushing in the forest and not the southern hill, you're not gaining any flags at the moment. And Jardaboj really could use some flags, so heading into B phase, he will have an advantage, and it will be his time to shine, I think.
But yeah, looking elsewise, other places here, yeah. The Slotka is trying really hard to be aggressive and to take things out. Not so successful for him, though. P-38J actually also coming on in. That's the first airplane we've seen all day. Trying to remember... Oh, yeah, so we had the Landswehr Anti-2. Which is weird. Like, I don't feel like actually we've seen that in any cast thus far.
The Landswehr?
Yeah.
Trying to find it.
Oh, Southern Arterial, just coming in just behind the Nostovaki.
Oh yeah, it's just a Nimrod.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a Nimrod, because the Nimrod was originally like a Swedish anti-aircraft vehicle, and the Finns brought like a bunch of them from the Swedish. Same with the Hungarians, but the Hungarians did some modifications to them. But yeah, I don't think we've really seen it all too much, but it is just essentially a Nimrod. Yo, it doesn't have the heat shells, which is a shame, because those heat shells are really good.
I'm not going to say amusingly in the south, because it would kind of really be being overly cruel to some of our digital warriors down here, but the forest play is slowly seeing some actual effect.
Yeah, he is managing to slowly get this town. I do like Adler's defensive position, with his Voltigeurs holding the farmstead, and that one Sherman in a very good angle of attack to shoot anything to come around the corner, but when you have 2 Stugs and a T-34 come around the corner, as well as a bunch of tanks through the forest, I think Sherman is a little bit outgunned.
Well, and the T-26s and the Klimi engage all this infantry from a short range, and these guys, I mean, the Zook teams are getting taken out by snipers. This is a shockingly good push.
Yeah, it's just finally working out for Jardaboj here. I mean, we've got 1 Sherman now all the way down south on the hill, but I think he's going to get outgunned very shortly, and Adler's lost a lot of his bazooka teams and the sappers with the bazookas as well. So he's having a hell of a time trying to deal with all these tanks right now. He needs to get some anti-tank guns into the field, which is what he's doing with the Cannon 57mm. But this is going well for him here, but he's still losing in terms of flags, because Adler's doing pretty good up. Actually, not as good anymore, as Jardaboj is starting to counterattack as well, actually, in the B phase.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing, is that, again, as a second blinde, you have to win early, otherwise your hitting power just really falls off too much.
Yeah, you just do not really have the attrition to survive a long match.
Because here we are, I mean, look down to this stuff. The T-26s that we kind of made fun of before, now there's a Piros and there's a half-track holding this bubble. But here's one flag right here, so we're going to be back to it, 12-12.
Yeah.
And frankly, there is a single flame troop over here inside this town, and there's a 76 engaging a 57mm. And that's the real big anti-tank threat, other than these M4A1s coming in.
Yeah, Jardaboj is just pretty much winning purely on numbers here. He just has, even with that tank blob, he's managed to keep a decent amount alive. Like, yes, the T-26s aren't great tanks, but when you have, like, each of them has only 1 machine gun, but for 10 points, you can't really go wrong. So it's very, very cost efficient for 10 points, that tank.
And we're seeing another T-26 push, supporting a couple of basically P4s. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 and 2 tanks. There's still a bazooka coming towards the road, so there's probably going to be a P4 going down from this, which is just so sad to see.
Look up north.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So
yeah.
the tank column coming down the road. This is the Battle of the Bulge with the crappy versions of the tanks.
Yeah. They couldn't afford Patton tanks, so they just had to use Soviet hordes of T-26s.
Well, I think I'm more concerned about the lead tanks with the P4s, because the P4s are going to right into this Zook. And this is going to be like the German version of Fury, you know, except instead of a Panzerfaust, the guy's going to come up, fire a bazooka, and go hee-hee and try to run away.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do love seeing these anti-tank rifle team pushes. It's always so cheeky when he manages to like supply roads like this, but heck, just knocking out 1 P4 is going to be good enough from that bazooka. He goes, he shoots, and he scores.
He might even get a second shot here too, because that P4 cannot be bothered. Jeez.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's really good. And the T-26 column's now stopped on the track, so I mean he's managed to knock out 2 P4s and slow down reinforcements coming into the front line, which is going to give Adler enough time to push on here with some infantry and some tanks, as he's heavily counter-attacking. Volunteers up to Kazoo, the Shermans, the air power, he's getting a 57mm cannon on the hill. He's not gonna go down up north without a fight.
You know what you didn't see though?
What?
Look at the center.
Oh, hello.
And then there's another column of Jakari being brought on in too. So I mean, like, yeah, he's holding things back in the north for right now. Yeah, he's kind of trying to go and keep things more competitive here in the south. And he's able to do that decently well, but anywhere the blinde isn't in any kind of excessive force, he just keeps getting whooped.
Yeah. I'm really liking how we're seeing both players here actually playing the entirety of the map. We're not just seeing everything being devised down to the flanks. This central push here should go pretty well here for Jardaboj. He just has so much overwhelming firepower. I mean, that T-3045 is a pretty nasty bugger to go up against. Of course, he could use some infantry to help clear the farmstead, but he's doing pretty good.
Oh, he doesn't need that. He's got the Nimrod.
Oh, yeah.
In all sincerity, the Nimrod is
ISU.
more than enough as just support fire for this tank push.
And oh, yeah, the ISU is also just
Also
I
true.
delete everything button. I believe you only get like a single one activation if I recall.
I think, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It's
you
over in
only
here
get
in
a single
A.
one, so definitely want to keep that guy alive because that's some heavy duty firepower. But it's Trove yo. I mean, just both sides are going at it all over, left, right, up, down, center, you name it. I don't really know who's really at an advantage here at this point in the match. It seems it could be anyone's game still. I mean, both towns are flipped.
Actually, nope. There's a very clear winner so far, and that is Jardaboj. Because the longer this game goes, if you guys remember the decks, originally there's nothing in here from C for the second Blinde. Zero. There are absolutely no cards in here at all. So after 20 minutes, he's got nothing new coming in. Meanwhile, I know the Finnish don't have a ton, but they have at least some kind of thought process that we're thinking more than just for this kind of like light engagement phase. There's this late game kind of last push that we have that can be quite terrifying.
Yeah, the income is definitely going to hinder him a little bit. Once we get the C
absolutely.
phase. So the B phase is going pretty well for him. We're all seeing a DB bomber coming in. I wonder how well this bombing run will do.
Oh, very well. It's going to definitely shut this down for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And T-26 is going to be charged into the town by an open field fight against Shermans. Not the best position for T-26s. They need to be in a forest, just like the Finns. But hey, when you got a Ju-87 cluster bomber, I think you can, you know, solve most issues. Just as long as the issue's on an armored box.
Yeah, if they're there long enough, they can get in there. The big question. The scatter's happening as it should, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see one go down. Yep.
I went for the M3A2 rather than 76. Surprising.
I wonder if you didn't end up seeing him later on.
Maybe.
But maybe that's what it was.
Might have been a sight thing.
A Spitfire coming in to just... No! Ju-87!
You're evac in the wrong way! Ah.
Jeez. Down to the south in the meantime, a platoon of P4s pushed in. They've lost one of their numbers, but the front line is way more stable than it had been before.
Yeah, knocking out that southern hill is definitely going to give Jardaboj some pretty good high ground and hopefully be able to rush into the farmstead on the other end of the hill before Adler can get into there, because he really wants to hold the entirety of that hill to pretty much secure an area, but Adler is going to be rushing up some Greyhounds over here, and that should cause a little bit of havoc, and Jardaboj infantry I think is not going to be fast enough on foot to get there before the Voda Gears reinforce the area.
That is entirely possible.
E38 coming in, he goes, he shoots, really wants the ISU dead, I don't blame him, but that ISU is a strong mofo and he just does not want to die.
No, he does not. I confess I'm trying to figure out the next move over here from the Finnish. Because you can't, as much fun as it would be to play an attrition style attack, I don't know that's really going to be the wisest decision.
I think his best bet is probably to try to retake the north here a bit. He's really close to like, securing the town entirely up north again, and that should just give him the advantage, and also at one flank, which he just barely is not holding. You know, it's going to flip in just a second. There we go. So if he can capture one flag in the town, that should bring it to a 13-11, which is what he needs. And with the Jakaris, you can pretty much win most town fights.
What I'm not really liking right now is that Jardaboj's airplay here has been a little bit substandard.
Yeah, it definitely needs a little bit more NTR in the field. Adler's been doing a very good job of his airplay, to be fair. Like, the constant bombing runs from the P-38s and the DBs have been doing decent amount of damage in Jardaboj forces, and he's going to get another kill with the Spitfire, so knocking out those 87s is vitally important, because Adler can't really be affording to lose many of his Shermans to silly cluster bombs, you know?
I hate to interrupt you, but down south, P4s have rushed on forwards. Jakaris are in here in full support. There's only one Superior squad, and if the one Superior squad over here gets taken out, I think there's more than enough to see the Finns take this hilltop.
Yeah, the Zeppers coming, gets a kill. Look at that go. If you can get the other P4.
I'm not sure he's going to get there in time. There's a big bomb coming his way.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least the P4 is able to straggle away. T-26 still sitting in that forest. But just like that, it is 14-10 now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing here and there between, like, Jakari in the center could really just move east, take out that half track. We have a Jakari moving over here, could take out that little concentration of troops with a platoon and an assault gun sitting behind him, of course. So, it ain't gonna be pretty.
Yeah, I think up north here, if it's Jakari push, Jardaboj should be able to take a decent amount of territory here. I mean, Adler can't really be throwing tanks into the forest when the Finns are in there for obvious reasons. And it's just a lot of Jakaris, all things considering. And he also has a decent amount of Sturmies holding the open ground, and he's still trying to make that central push happen with the amount of tanks, but DBs keep coming in, and they really don't want it to happen. And the ISU is still alive, and he's been bombed like 3 to 4 times.
Just looking down to the south again for a second. We actually, it looks like, I think Jardaboj over here is just going to kind of say, screw it, I don't really feel like kind of fighting over this area any longer. Meanwhile, the Spitfires are just getting, they're just having a heyday. Jeez, they have like 3 kills, 4 kills in the air.
Battle
I think
of
a
Britain,
lot's just from a misplay. I'm sorry?
It's the Battle of Britain, fam.
It really does kind of feel that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, Jardaboj just doesn't really have much AA. He does have like a few Lanzerwerks, but not enough spread around the map, and really no fighters of his own right now to try and intercept the Spitfires. And I think if Adler can continue for their players, should be able to hold on to what he's got, but his northern blob is just terrifying, Carton. I would not want to have to engage this many goddamn tanks and Jakaris and all that stuff. That is just a nasty, nasty blob. That's all I have to say about it.
It certainly is. It's only getting nastier all the time as 4 more squads getting brought on into just completely dominate the central battle space. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, what do we have? 6 or 7 just armored vehicles there, plus the ISU, which is still not dead despite getting hit all the bleeding time.
Another bombing
run. Not even slowing down the entire push.
There's too many, and he's actually got the enemy hill position, which is a pretty rare sight for 1v1 on Orsha. And that's a pretty good position to capture. Jardaboj is on 15-9 now. This is looking very dire for Adler. He really needs to make something, I think, happen down south if he wants to try and get back into his match here, because this northern position is just going absolutely kaput. He just does not have enough AT nearby to deal with this many goddamn tanks.
Well, at long last, he is going to be able to take out the ISU 152, but part of me kind of wonders exactly how much material, how many bombing runs he spent on it, 'cause I quite literally think it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think it's probably like around about 5.
Despite that, we are still seeing troops charging on in. There's a 57 mil that's right there, so he's going to get his pound of flesh, I think. Well, the Nimrod goes down as well, so he already got his pound of flesh. A couple tons of it, in fact. And the Jakari is probably going to get maybe 1 more kill? Nope, never mind. Yeah, I don't know if I like the position anymore for Adler. I think he was weighed and measured, but I think he's been found wanting at this point.
Yeah, it's really just not looking good for him anymore now. This is too much stuff for him to really deal with, and he needs to make some sort of decisive blow on this central blob. I mean, the Finns do have a decent amount of tanks in their deck, of course, but not an infinite amount, like the same with Adler. If he can knock out this central blob of tanks, yeah, we're all bringing back in terms of being able to, fight back a bit more effectively. Jakaris are still another issue, however, because they're just a huge pain in the ass to fight.
When you get 18 more of them in a single card, yeah, it's kind of hard to...
Yeah, they're good. They're very good. Oh, down south here, we're also seeing a bit of a push with Adler. Some Void Gears. It's not a huge push, of course, and there's a pack and a Panzer IV nearby, which can probably shut this down. But it's a good attempt.
The biggest thing here is really to watch out for Suspiros. Like, the Voltigeur even is indeed aren't even not that terrifying.
If you can kill the Sherman as it's retreating, that'd be a good kill. And indeed he does.
Kind of forgot about the Nostovaki over here. These guys don't get seen very often, but these are basically the Finnish version of Ersatstruppen.
Yeah.
Maybe
They're not bad, Joe.
Much better armed. Yeah,
they got Molotovs. That's like
that's what it is.
Pretty. I mean, any idiot can throw a Molotov, so can't really go wrong with that.
So it's kind of mildly amusing to me that right now we're seeing a Voltigeur squad engage that Pack 40, excuse me, Pack 38, and he's winning because that P4 says I want no part of that. So I'm not sure if he just doesn't realize he's not fighting a Sapir squad, or he's just trying to be honorable and let the Shikari get the kill.
And surprise Finnish ambush.
Yeah.
And surprise Nostovaki ambush. Got one Molotov, here's a second. Enjoy your drink, sir. On the house.
So wait, that Brewster that the Finns have over there, B-239E, is that an American or?
Yep.
Okay.
American naval plane, if I recall.
Brewster Buffalo, I think. Yeah, that was.
It was like a very early one. Even though it's a pretty crap plane in the Pacific, the Finns did manage to do pretty good with it. I believe one of the Finnish top fighter races managed to get a decent amount of kills with the Brewster.
Well, those who can't build must do with whatever they've got, so...
When Americans give you planes, I mean, you can't really say no.
It's like biplanes, and even then, I suppose.
Yeah, its northern push is still going really well for Jard. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I don't know what Adler can do at this point. I mean, the tanks are just sitting out in the open, but if he moves with Shermans, like, 1 or 2, and try to kill them, he's just gonna get outgunned. He's just constantly bombing it, which is slowly whittling them down. Takes out T-40-45. I think that's what Adler's is gonna have to do. He still has a lot bit of time on his side. There's 10 minutes left before he loses. I don't know, it's just...
No, that's not enough time. Come on, he's bringing in volunteers. This is the French sign of, dude, we're gonna get up soon. And I don't mean that pejoratively. Like that's just the case.
Yeah, I think down south here he can actually make a pretty decent comeback here, as we're seeing in the southern central position. It's like 3 infantry squads holding that area, and he is starting to move some tanks and infantry. So this could be a good counter push here, and it might just bring him back down to a -1 advantage, which would definitely give him much more needed time, because he needs all the time right now.
True, very true. We've seen the last little bits, I think, of just anti-tank material being thrown over here to the north. That's a very interesting... Why would you throw it to the north? There's nothing there. There's already so much other stuff here.
Yeah.
But 16-9, 15-9, there's 16-8 a second ago. And the Volunteers are probably going to win through just sheer weight of numbers. But this is not an engagement I'd want to be a part of myself.
Yeah. I mean, Volunteers aren't too bad. I mean, they do have decent CQC weaponry, but of course the Jakaris, if they get the Molotov off, do have pretty good alpha damage capability at close quarters. Oh no, it's Blob actually in the center. It's starting to take some pretty heavy casualties. It's only down to 2 Stugs now.
Yeah, but they're also still bringing in a couple little things here and there. We have a Pack 75 basically right behind it. So, yes, there are problems. I'm not going to deny that, but these Shermans can't continue to push on in. He's got to be almost out of Shermans.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to the infantry up north, and it's not really in Adler's favor, as we keep hammering on about. I do like how, like, far up north, you got a bunch of French suits behind enemy lines, and that's not ideal.
But doing what?
Doing nothing.
Doing what with them? And that's the problem, isn't it?
Or he can't. I think he was just like holding the hill with him, and then all the Jakaris for the center just threw off the front line. And if he can deal with those Jakaris, he could probably recapture that northern hill, which would give him some pretty good flag advantage. He's actually starting to push with him, to be fair. South Erzman's and secure at crossroads.
True. True. So I'm watching the ongoing soap opera drama that's going on here with the Jakari trying to chase down this M4A376, and it's like, quick, boys!
You shoot!
Jeez.
Oh.
From
So close
way
to
downtown. So, yep, we are going to see a kill there, but at the same time, what do we got? A couple of Voltigeur squads, half track, but there's more Jakaris just sitting in the trees, like... This Finnish Panzer Division, man, this is not what you expect to see. And the Voltigeurs in the opening, they're called Voltigeurs. They're not. That's not. You don't all want them actually jumping in the open. You want them jumping behind cover, guys.
Yeah, this is definitely starting to feel like it's getting very attritional now. Just looking on the mini map just looking at the map in general. There's not many units on the field anymore. Both sides are really just fighting with the scraps which they have left, and. It's not looking too great. I think down south, Adler can make a decent push here with the Jakari. Against the Jakaris, he still has the Sherman 75 recon, yeah. And he managed to kill the pack gun, so he can actually capture a hill once he deals with his Jakari squad.
True. True, and that's a couple of flags right there. Pack 38 being moved on in. Basically, Tenkido Junta with the bazookas coming here as well. Those Tavakis, are they getting brought down here to the south? No, they're not. And where did all the troops go? Like, this is that thing, you know, you watch at the end of like a super dramatic boxing movie, and it's like they're just having at each other. They're exhausted. They have nothing else left to give. And this seems to be the bottom of the barrel. This is the absolute end of both lists.
Yeah, it's a pretty good analogy. Just both sides just throwing in whatever you have left now. I mean, you've just got Nosovaki coming in, and anti-tank guns, which Jardaboj does have a decent amount in his deck. And Adler, I mean, he's throwing in the sidecars now. You know it's bad when you're using sidecars.
True. Either, you know, just trying to be fashionable, or... No, you really don't use sidecars ever, do you?
No. Not in base game, no.
True. Now, Red Storm.
That's different.
They become a terrifying thing in Red Storm.
Down south, yeah, the anti-tank team I think is just going to be a little bit more useful. It's also an infantry team. They do have a bunch of dudes with rifles. Not the best infantry team, of course, but at this time, anything will really do.
True, and I'm trying to see, he's got 4? Okay, so he's got the remnants of his 2 cars from A-phase. But yeah, nobody's got real tanks left. We have a couple of command Shermans, I think, coming in, and that might be it.
Yeah. Adler has managed to completely recapture Northern Hill. The Jakaris are going to be taking back one of the flags. And I think up north... Oh, I mean, Adler still has more tanks on the field compared to Jardaboj right now. I know his tank's pretty good at CQC. I feel like if he can just clear off these Jakaris, and he could potentially take Northern Town. Of course, it's 2 Pack 40s, yeah, which would say otherwise. But
3 Pack 40s, now we're moving in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. At the same time, Adler still has the air power advantage completely to his favor. And those bombing runs would be much more effective against anti-tank guns rather than, well, tanks.
That is true. That is certainly true. But 1311 over here, is it Jardaboj's turn to kind of slowly bleed out, or are we going to see some crazy turnaround?
Don't know. I don't know. I feel like Adler might just be able to, like, sink us in, just looking at how he's deploying. He's actually trying to retake some central position flags here. I think the air power is just running him into traditional warfare. Constant bombing runs is slowly riddling away at Jardaboj's forces.
It is weird to think the second Blinde is being attritional, though.
Yeah, that actually running attritional warfare, which is not... That's not very Blinde at all, Khan.
No, not by any stretch of the
Oh.
imagination. I didn't think I'd be saying that at any point during today's cast.
Yeah, you're supposed to automatically surrender once the 30-minute mark hits as Blinde. That's the
True.
rule.
True. This is absolutely the rule.
If you don't win by Yan, you don't deserve it, but Adler is proving us wrong.
Yeah, he's saying first is still the worst and Blinde is the best. So, still, let's see, Superior Squad. It's interesting to watch the kind of rinky-dink, kind of all over the place retreat paths that we're seeing. Almost equally fascinating to me just to see how Pak-38s are slowly trying to be used as not even infantry support guns, as like these glass cannons to take out those last few armored vehicles.
Yeah.
Never mind, I forgot about the Abusiers. Oh my gosh, was he just sitting on these in the last second here? Just that's like that artillery piece?
Yeah! He had those, like, fire support Shermans, which definitely going to be very useful later on in the match when he's really just dealing with self-targets now. And anti-tank guns, because they're pretty good at killing anti-tank guns.
Well, anti-tank, anti-air, really anti-everything at this point. You see, right now, the 40 mils like, who do I shoot at? Do I shoot at the tank that's trying to kill me, or do I shoot at the Spitfire? I might as well do my actual job before I die. Unfortunately for him, P-38J is going to come at the same time and drop basically 1,000 pounds worth of bombs. No, 2,000 pounds worth of bombs. On those Pak-38s, I'd be very surprised. Yep, one does go down. Second one hasn't died just yet, but I'm sure that's coming pretty dang quick.
Yeah, he probably did not like what just happened to his buddy down south.
No, I mean, normally anti-tank gun crews are very solitary individuals. They don't come out very often, even to mate, which is why the numbers tend to drop rather quickly.
Indeed.
If you look to the north, we have the Kozma and Euronin. Those two guys, they've made it for life. But seeing as how so much of the anti-positional play has been, I can't imagine it being very long.
No, once they get spotted here, I think an airplane is gonna pay visits to their position from above, preferably with high explosive bombs.
Well, you know, they just want to set them off with a bang, you know?
Yeah.
But alright. There is a piece of me that almost wants to go to ×2, because I think at this point we're going to see, like you just said, the vehicles are gone. At this point, it's the airplay.
I'm thinking the same thing as well.
Okay, so at 3750, let's say, okay. And yep, one of those anti-tank guns to the north goes down in ×2. And we're at a 17-7, and yes, we have things like the half-track racing on in to take another flag here. And even with Nostavaki's coming on in, forces a retreat, but I think it's just because at this point it's a learned behavior. You don't want to get anywhere close to something that might kill you, even though it probably won't.
Yeah,
now,
he still dies.
I was to say, with the Pak-38, that guy will kill you.
Yeah.
One thing I'm also surprised by too is just the level of distance play. There's been a lot of hefty ranges being utilized here.
Mm-hmm. The air power coming in clutch again down south. I really think the air power is pretty much won Adler's match.
Yep.
Like, Jardaboj did not manage to... I mean, even then, like, the second Blinde doesn't even have that many airplanes. He only has, you know, one card of P-58 and one card of DB-7, but just the constant bombing runs and the zero, you know, fighter or anti-air deal with him has just allowed Adler to go hog wild in the sky.
Well, that was the other thing too, is that there were donations of the Ju-87s, and that really is the right phrase for them. Unfortunately, Jardaboj wasn't able to successfully keep those guys alive.
Yeah.
He's able to do that. That's great. At that point, you can take on, you know, the Abusiers, the M4A3s. You can take on the M4A3s with the 76 up guns. Like, you have options.
Oh. And Adler's managed to done all of that without buying an anti-aircraft unit of his own. It's purely through Spitfires that he's managed to knock out Jardaboj's two Stukas.
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to mention too, is the Spitfires. Yeah, I mean, dude, they spit mad game and fire at the same time, so it's kind of hard to really do anything except, you know, treat them with the utmost of respect here. Pak-38s are desperate to try to keep themselves viable, but when you have an Abusier that just takes out one with a single shot, then that's all you got. You can't do anything else here. And I imagine we'll see the tail of the type will have a fairly unbalanced KD here at the end.
Not too bad. I was expecting worse. It's like a 1,300 difference.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I expected worse as well.
Although P38 did very good for himself. Depierre.
Let's see. Well, I'm coming to it. For some reason, my things take a little bit longer to load. Here's our 3 kills. Yeah, the P38. That man just dropped. He must have dropped 6,000 or 7,000 kilograms of bombs. Legitimately, 6,000 or 7,000.
Fly back to base, and they'd be like, "Martial, load in the bombs. We don't have much time."
It's like it's my 8th sortie today. Gossman got got 3 kills, 2 of them being the Junkers. I mean, that right there is the major issue.
Yeah.
You just lost those. Unfortunately, those ground attack planes could have been such a different story overall. On the other side, Sturmy doing okay. We have an ISU doing, taking bombs like a champ. But eventually, you just can't get bombed constantly and expect to survive. You can't repel firepower of that magnitude. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that really came down to pure attrition, and Adler has attrition.
Indeed, he did, which is weird to think. So maybe I have to try that in the future myself here. Just play the second Blinde as an attritional deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially against right against Panzer Division. I mean, they also like pretty attrition. I mean, they don't have like great late play either, but usually, they do a little bit better. But I think that just really comes down to the air power.
I agree. I agree. But folks, I believe that's going to be enough for us today from this mammoth of a replay for you. As I was, of course, come back over here on Thursday for another kind of clash of titans. But until then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Mangru. Take it easy.